Welcome. We're Phillip and Ellen Moore, and we're on staff here at the Ark. Phillip is the executive pastor, and I'm the children's pastor. We've been married for almost 32 years.
32 wonderful years.
Yeah, mostly. And we've got two grown kids. Josh is 26, Megan is 24.
We also have a daughter-in-law named Kennedy, but we can't take credit for her, but we do claim her.
That's true. So when all of us find out that we're going to be parents, I don't think any of us are thinking, what's the bare minimum I can get by with? If I can just keep this kid alive for a couple of years, then I'm going to call it a win. We don't think that. We're like, we want our kids to be healthy, thriving, contributing members to society. We are in it to win it as parents. And we were. When Josh came along, he was a great sleeper. He was a compliant child. He was easy to teach to obey. So we thought we were killing it.
Yeah, we thought this whole parenting thing is like, what's the big deal? I mean, we got this down, no problem.
Yeah, easy peasy. And then came Megan.
Yeah.
So Megan was born, and literally from the time she was born for the first 5 years of her life, she was an absolute terror. Yeah. She really was. And all of a sudden we realized, oh dear, we don't have a clue. We are in over our heads.
You know, we had our hands full for sure. I'll never forget that time we sent Megan to her room for discipline, and she didn't want to go. And we didn't have a lock on the door, and she wanted to come out. And here's my precious wife up there holding the handle to Megan's bedroom door with her foot propped up on the door. The child is screaming like the Tasmanian devil on the other side, and my wife is just sitting there bawling her head off. We realized this parenting thing is tough.
Yeah. And I think that's when we realized this is a huge responsibility. And there's nobody else to do this right now. This is our exactly. This is our thing, our responsibility. God has given us the job of raising these kids. And as much as, we're thankful for the partners in that, we're thankful for teachers and grandparents and aunts and uncles and all of that, at the end of the day, it's on us. And we can't shirk or pass off that responsibility to teachers or coaches or counselors, because God has said it's ours. But thankfully, in the midst of that responsibility, there are those moments of great joy that we enjoy with our kids that keep us motivated, and we realize this is a great privilege.
Yeah, those moments of joy and triumph that keep us coming back for more.
Totally.
Yeah.
And, it took us over a year to get pregnant with Josh. And so when he came, we were so grateful. And it is a privilege to be a parent, along with that responsibility. So as we get started, I just want to encourage you to keep in mind that you were actually chosen by God to be the parent for your child. There's no accident, no coincidence, no matter what was going on at the time of conception. It's by divine design that your child was given to you. God had said, we know this from Psalm 139. It says, "For you created my inmost being, you knit me together in my mother's womb." So God knew he wanted your child to be on this earth, and of all of the human beings that he could have given your child to, he said it's you.
That's right.
And one of the beautiful things about God that it talks about in Philippians is that when God gives us a job to do, he equips us to do it. He doesn't leave us hanging. So we can know that we are equipped, that he is there with us, and that means that you are the perfect parent for your child.
Right.
You're not the perfect parent, but you are the exact one God chose to parent this child, and he is right there with you. He promises to help us. He knows that we're in it to win it, and so is he.
Yeah. As Ellen said, as parents, we are in it to win it. So where do we start? What's most important? We came up with a few key points that we wanted to share with you that we feel like will help you to win as a parent. And the first one is, there is no such thing as a perfect parent. There's no magic formula for getting all of this right as parenting. And that was very freeing for me as a dad to understand that I didn't have to be the perfect dad because there wasn't a perfect dad. But I did understand this. I could ask God and I could trust Him to give me wisdom. Wisdom that I needed to be the dad, to be the parent that He had called me and chosen me to be. James 1:5 says, "If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault." And it says, "and it will be given to you." We can trust God for wisdom, and we needed it.
We totally did, because you can't parent each child the same.
That's right.
And what worked with Josh did not work for Megan, so
No.
we needed wisdom.
Yeah. The second key point that we wanted to share with you is this. Place more importance on the heart of your child versus their outward behavior. I'm thankful for this scripture in 1 Samuel chapter 16, verse 7. It says, "Man looks on the outward appearance, but God, He looks on the heart." So rather than focusing on the child's outward behavior, we need to emphasize the attitudes of their heart, where the issues of life really flow from. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything flows out of it." This causes us to focus on beginning with the end in mind. Scripture also tells us to train up a child in the way they should go. Notice that Scripture says go, not stay under your continual watchful eye as a parent. They're trained up to go.
Yeah,
So
as we know, with an empty nest, it's
Yes.
a good thing when they do.
We highly recommend empty nesting. It's wonderful. Hang in there. So instead of training behavior, which is really a short-term approach that only leads to robotic compliance, we as parents, we need to reach and equip the heart of our child. And we need to help them to build what is an internal moral compass that's going to be with them when we're not, and it's going to become the guiding factor in their life.
You know, do you remember one of the things that really helped us there was somebody told us that it really helped to connect their behavior with a character quality or with a fruit of the Spirit.
Right.
So instead of just saying, don't hit, it's, hey, don't hit. We're going to be gentle.
Yeah.
And you connect it. We only use kind words because people are precious to God and they're precious to us. And it was a real eye-opener to me. Josh was compliant and obedient, but he was not compassionate.
He was not empathetic,
No.
not at all.
And so we realized, oh, we've got to teach him to be that. And so when your sister is literally hanging by her fingers from a shelf in your bedroom, you need to stop playing with your Legos and go help your sister.
Wow. Yeah.
It happened.
It happened. That happened.
Yeah.
The third key point that we wanted to share with you is that as parents, we need to cultivate 3 key relationships in our child's life. And the most important relationship is with God. Their personal relationship with Him. Help them to develop that from an early stage in life. And the second thing is the relationship with you as a parent, with us as a parent. That relationship that we developed, it helped us over the years to keep the window to our kids' heart alive, and it helped to keep the conversation open. And we were, quite frankly, able to talk about a lot of things with our kids. I'll never forget, we would kind of do this jokingly, but it got a reaction to them when we would just candidly talk to them about sex. It kind of they got red and everything, but we had the window open to their heart, and the conversation was alive all throughout their teenage years.
Yeah, it really did help us when they were teenagers, as we had kind of sowed those seeds and had good dinner time conversations and all of that.
And the third relationship that we need to develop for our kids is their relationship with others. And that helps them to value people and to learn how to get along with others. And I can tell you, when you have these 3 relationships working in your child's life, you can count that as a win. And anything? You good?
No, yeah.
The fourth
it's
thing
true.
that we wanted to share with you, the fourth key point, is to simply be. Be a model, be a guide, be a teacher to your children. The truth is, we may teach what we know, but we're going to reproduce who we are. And the adage of do as I do, don't do as I say do, that will not fly with your children. The reality is more is caught than taught, and our children, they're going to catch everything that we're delivering.
Even when we don't want them to.
Exactly. It's like, where did you learn that from? Oh, me.
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly.
So we need to let them see who we really are. We need to let them see our relationship with God, our relationship with our friends, our relationship and how we interact with our work environment. We need to model before them right relationships, relationships that are unselfish, relationships that demonstrate love in action. We need to let them also see our triumphs and our trials. Yeah. And when we make a mistake, as we've been telling you, and we're not perfect parents, we're going to make mistakes. When we make those mistakes, we simply need to own it. And we need to use those teachable moments to demonstrate transparency and demonstrate authenticity for our children. And when, not if, we blow it with our children personally, I can tell you from experience, the best thing to do is just to own it. Go to them, hey, Dad was wrong, Dad messed up, Dad screwed up here, and I am sorry, and I apologize, and I ask you for forgiveness. I can tell you, I had plenty of opportunity to do that as a dad, and I'm grateful that we had those moments of teachability with our kids.
And they knew then that they could do the same with us and say they were sorry.
Yeah. And just one more key point on modeling relationships. Those of you who are married, your marriage relationship is the biggest influence on your child's life. So here's a word of caution. Don't let your child become the center of your family or of your home. Children are a gift. We can tell you that. They're a wonderful add to your family, to your home. But they're not more important than your marriage relationship and the relationship that you have with your spouse. Your marriage relationships needs to be and remain your number one commitment, not your children. And to you single parents, same principle applies to you. Your child does not need to become the center of your universe. It's not healthy for them, and it's certainly not healthy for you because you are more than only your role as a parent.
And they do eventually leave.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, then what are you left with?
Right, exactly. So when we're in it to win it, it doesn't just happen. It doesn't just happen in sports or in school. It doesn't just happen in parenting. It takes intentionality. You've got to do it on purpose. And there's a lot to remember with parenting. There's a lot involved. But somehow I think it seems a little bit more natural, or it comes quicker to us to realize we've got to teach our kids certain skills. Like we know we've got to potty train, or we've got to teach them to read and ride a bike. But we've got to also be just as intentional, if not more so, on helping them become who God created them to be. And when we can be intentional there, that's when we see the real dividends pay off. And when we see them becoming that person that God created them to be, we need to bless it. We need to recognize it, reinforce that, and say, wow, the way you shared today, that was so kind. Or I saw you bring such joy to that person. And so when we see it, we bless it, and we speak life to our kids. But sometimes we also have to speak it even when we don't see it. Because I'm telling you, I couldn't see it for a long time in Megan. And so I would wake her up in the morning, and I would go real sweetly. We made sure the morning time was real calm. And I'd say, Megan, it's time to get up. We're going to have such a great day. You're going to be sweet and obedient, and it's going to be a wonderful day. And there were times she literally opened her eyes, looked at me, and said, I'm going to be ugly today. And I thought, okay, it's going to be a long day.
But we stayed with it, and
Yes.
we stayed committed. We were in it to win it, as you've been saying.
Yes.
And we hung in there. As a strong-willed child, we had to be just as strong, if not stronger. And we're real proud of our daughter and the woman of God that she has become and as she is becoming to this day. But it wasn't easy.
No. And that's when we have to keep in mind the days are long, but the years are short.
Yeah.
They just go like this. So along the way, enjoy it. Make it fun. We can make training our kids fun. We can make obedience a game. See who can do it first or who can do it fastest. You can role play, and they're going to be in a new situation, and you want to make sure they're going to act right. Role play it the night before. And make it fun, and then do it with others. Find other families, like-minded families, that you can encourage each other, you can help raise each other's kids. And I'll tell you, a great place to find those families is at church.
Yeah.
That's where we found our families. And we were able to make friendships, the kids were able to. And yes, at the end of the day, it's our responsibility as parents. But when church and home do it together, it's all the more powerful and effective. So at the end of the day, parenting is about leading and influencing our kids to be more like Jesus. That's our mission in life, and that's their mission in life, and we're just helping them along the way. Our goal is not to have perfect kids who do the exact right thing at exact the right time so they make us look good as parents, which we can get caught up in. But we want kids who are the right thing, even when no one is looking.
That's right.
And probably especially when no one is looking.
Right.
And that only happens through training. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Like you said, we've got to stay in it if we're going to win it. So here's what we want to leave you with. Hebrews 13 says, "May the God of peace strengthen and make you what you ought to be and equip you with everything good for carrying out his will."
That's right.
You can do it. You stay in it, and you will win it.
That's right.
3 quick takeaways that we have for you. Number 1, share with your spouse or a friend one new thought you had about parenting today. Number 2, what's one aspect of parenting that you feel like you're doing really well?
Yeah.
And then number 3, think about in what area of parenting would you like to be just a little more intentional? Know that we love you, we are here for you, and we're praying for you.